So this is a guide to setting up an employment agency in Singapore. So in this guide, I will be explaining you about employment agency license, and the agenda is who needs to obtain employment agency license, and obviously who are exempted from obtaining employment agency licenses, types of employment agency licenses, who is considered to be a key appointment holder, do you need to be CEI qualified, Council for Employment Industry Education or something like that, security bond and bank guarantee requirements, process and timeline for the employment agency licensing, duration, approval and admin matters, and then I will handle some of the frequently asked questions. So in this presentation, I am not focusing much on the incorporation of company part, but I am focusing on the part that follows after the company is incorporated to obtain the employment agency license. So let's begin. And the first question is who needs to obtain employment agency license? So let's head to the Ministry of Manpower website and we will have a look on this. So here I am on Ministry of Manpower website and it explains well who needs to get an employment agency license. So any company that interacts with candidates or the potential clients for placing the candidate in the company on a job is required to obtain an employment agency license, and that typically includes communicate with any job seeker for the purpose of processing any employment related application, collects the biodata or resume of any job seeker for the purpose of helping the job seeker to establish an employer-employee relationship, submit any work pass applications on behalf of any employer or job seeker, or helps to place any job seeker with an employer. So basically, if you are placing a candidate with any potential organization in an employer-employee relationship, then you are required to obtain this license. And you must first obtain the license before carrying out any of these activities. So you cannot start the activities and then apply for the license. Now there are some exemptions also. So in case if you are recruiting a person for the sole purpose of employing in your own business, then obviously employment agency license is not required. So if you are a large company and if you have a HR department based in Singapore where you are recruiting people, then this license will not be required. Or if you are outsourcing your own staff to customer premises, typically what we call it as a body shopping arrangement, then in that case also license is not required. Now there are certain exemptions also. For example, if you are only running a web-based job portal where people can post their resume, then maybe organizations can post requirements, and you are not actually directly involved in that matching process or you are not taking any fees in that, then you are exempted from obtaining an EA license. Or if you maintain any job bulletin board or who submits only work pass applications and who do not otherwise carry out any matching are exempted from obtaining employment agency license. Then there are some specific organizations like universities, educational institutions, community development councils and some other organizations, they are exempted from obtaining the employment agency license. So I think this should clarify that primarily if you are into the typical placement recruiting business, you will require to obtain this license. So coming back to the presentation then, next question is what are the types of employment agency licenses? So in Singapore, employment agency licenses are classified into 4 categories. The first 3 categories are called as comprehensive license but with a different scope, and the last one is called as select license. So the first license type is comprehensive all. That means if you have this license, if your organization has this license, you can place any kind of worker in Singapore. And for this, your staff and your key appointment holder must be suitably qualified with CEI qualification. If you take comprehensive local license, then you can place only local employees and you cannot bring in foreign workers while having this license. So you cannot work with foreign workers to place them in Singapore. And again, CEI qualification is required. The next license type is comprehensive non-FDW. So you can place all workers other than foreign domestic workers. So foreign domestic worker means the maids those work in various Singapore households. So typically at the lowest strata of Singapore society there are these two work permits, that is foreign workers who are unskilled who come and do various labor jobs like digging, construction helper and so on, and another one is FDW, that is foreign domestic worker. And since they are at the lowest strata of the society and they obviously get less salary, it is generally presumed that their ability to negotiate or deal with employment agencies is slightly lower. And therefore, to protect them, these licenses have some additional conditions put in place. The last license in this list is select license, which is normally for office going employees of higher level, where you can place employees with monthly fixed salary of 4500 Singapore dollars or more only. And for this license, you do not need a CEI qualification. So one more point that I want to highlight here, sometimes organizations tend to deviate to select license because obviously it is slightly simpler and it has less cumbersome requirement. But keep it in mind that big part of Singapore society is below 4500 salary level, and actually you will be missing out from a big market if you go for select license instead of comprehensive all. So now having understood this, the next question is who is a key appointment holder and how key appointment holder KAH differs from other employees. So KAH stands for key appointment holder, and this is the person who undertakes the licensing requirement. So when Ministry of Manpower will issue a license to your organization, it will be issued to your organization's name. So it will say that such and such company is given this license, and the name of the key appointment holder will be mentioned in that. And this key appointment holder has to sign the licensing condition. So basically he undertakes licensing requirements and he commits to the Ministry of Manpower that he is going to ensure that this company follows all the licensing requirements put in place by the Ministry of Manpower. So typically this person needs to be the director of a company, or if the organization is a partnership, then he needs to be a partner or manager in case of sole proprietorship. So only the person who is in ACRA records as a director, partner or manager of the company or the organization can sign this undertaking. So every employment agency must have at least one KAH. If key appointment holder leaves the job, then license come into problem. If other employees leave the job, then it is not an issue. Also, in case there are any misconducts in this employment agency, then the key appointment holder is personally responsible for answering all these misconducts, and he can be sued or prosecuted for those misconducts if those misconducts are very grave. So now this slide is about getting CEI qualification. So CEI stands for Council for Employment Intermediaries. So they issue a qualification to be able to operate as a KAH or other employee. So we have seen in previous slide about the CEI qualification applicability. So select licenses don't have to pass the CEI qualification. Only the comprehensive license holders in that organization, there should be at least one key appointed holder, and every person or every employee who in that company interacts with potential candidates and clients will be required to obtain this qualification. Other staff, for example, accountants, receptionists, or those people who don't really interact with the client as well as with the candidates, are not required to obtain this qualification. So the top part of the table shows for KAH director. So this summary shows you that if it is a KAH position in a comprehensive all license company, the duration of the course is 40 hours and CEI KAH qualification is awarded. If it is for a KAH in a company which has a comprehensive local license, then the duration of the course is 32 hours and CEI KAH local is awarded. And similarly for non-FDW, there is a 24 hours course which is called as CEI KH excluding EFMA. Similarly, for other employees also there are different courses which are called CEI Basic, non-FDW and without EFMA, and the duration of the course is 36 hours, 28 hours, and 20 hours. These courses are normally conducted by NTUC subsidiary. So you can find it on the internet where these courses are conducted, and you need to book it in advance because slots often are in fast demand. So there are few more points regarding the CEI qualification. So on this slide, you need to understand that every employee has to be qualified with suitable CEI qualification depending upon what license you have, if you are having comprehensive license. Now attending the course, so the duration that I showed on previous slide, attending that course is not mandatory. You can give directly the examination. So the examination is computer based, and normally the results are available at the end of the that whatever examination is conducted. Exam is not easy, so I will recommend that anybody who is interested attend the course and give the exam. Sometimes what happens, people think that they have been in recruitment industry for so many years, therefore they know all these principles and regulations. But what will happen in Singapore, the limits and the time limits and the monetary limits might change. And in that examination, all these questions are asked. Questions are not easy. I will not say it is very difficult, but sometimes questions are bit confusing. So I always suggest clients to take the course and then attend this computer based examination. However, if you get an employee for your organization who has already passed the examination, then this examination need not be done again. So as of now, it is once in a lifetime examination kind of thing. There is no continuing education as of now. Maybe in future it will come up. So having understood this, then the next point is about security bond requirement. Every new employment agency must put security bond with Ministry of Manpower. So what essentially you do, you go to your bank and you tell them that you have to put the security bond with Ministry of Manpower. So you will deposit this much money with the bank, and bank will issue you a bank guarantee, and that bank guarantee needs to be submitted to the Ministry of Manpower. If you are applying for any type of comprehensive license, the bond amount is 60,000 Singapore dollars, and if you are applying for any select license, then the bond amount is 20,000 Singapore dollars. If the conduct of the employment agency is not satisfactory, and if there are demerit points issued against the company, then the amount may be increased, especially in case of a select license. So if there is a select license and if you do something hanky panky, then maybe it will be increased to 40,000 or 60,000. So now, having understood all these things, it is the time to understand the timeline, how it will look like in real life. So the step 1 is a company registration, which generally is a 1-week process. Company can be incorporated faster, but considering that you have to give the documents and then there are going to be additional things, it will take 1 week. After that, you need to file an employment pass for one of the key employees who is relocating from your home country, presuming that you are coming from overseas. If you are a local company promoted by a local person, then most probably that local person should be qualified to act as a KH. But if you are a foreigner, you will have to file an EP or get a local qualified employee recruited, and this can take 3 to 4 weeks. You can actually start this process even before company registration and identify the candidate, but EP cannot be filed before company registration. Then the step number 3 is that your employment pass person, that is your key person from your home country, relocates to Singapore, activates his Sing Pass and employment pass, which takes another 3 to 4 weeks, because once employment pass is approved, it's not that on the next day he's going to fly. He also needs to close his matters in his home country, make relocation arrangements, and so on. Obviously, this step again will not be relevant if you are a local company and if you are already in Singapore. Then in step 4, the person will register for KH course and attend the course and pass the exam. So this again is going to take 3 to 4 weeks, because examination dates are generally 2 times in a month. So you will have to decide when to appear and a slot should be available. Once the course has been passed, then you will apply for the license, pay the bank guarantee, and then the license will be issued, which generally can take 3 to 4 weeks. So the step 6 is where the license is issued and employment agency is live. So in my experience, if a foreign company is coming to Singapore and if they are getting one key employee from their home country to act as a director of the company and to act as a KH, then you are looking at a process of somewhere around 14 weeks in total. So you need to plan for this accordingly. So now comes some admin matters. So approval is generally for 3 years and it can be renewed for 3 years at a time. Cost of applying for the license is 400 Singapore dollars. The cost of appointing every employee or KH is approximately 160 Singapore dollars. At Epica, we also provide this license application as a service. So in case you are interested, you can contact our team. So now some of the frequently asked questions is what will happen if the key appointed holder person of your company resigns. So obviously if the KH resigns, then from the date of resignation or from the date on which he leaves your company, no more in employment, till the time you get a new KH, your license is technically suspended because you don't have anybody to act as a KH. So you will have to make arrangements before this person leaves to recruit somebody else and take over the role of KH. So what many organizations will do, they will typically get two KH, key appointed holders, so that in case somebody leaves or something happens to him, the other person is always there. The next question is, can the nominee director as a KH of your company? So nominee director will not be able to act as a key appointed holder of your company because acting as a key appointed holder is actually a business role and it needs to be taken by somebody in that industry. Nominees don't typically work for the companies and they don't want to be seen as related to company in any way in their business. So they will not accept typically KH position in your company. So in summary, this is the overall scope of applying for employment agency license, and I hope this presentation has clarified all this.
Thank you for watching this video. This video was brought to you by Epica Consulting Singapore. Subscribe to our channel today to get notified when new videos are posted.